I don't believe that we should ever have a good money again before we take the thing out of the hands of government.
Welcome back, everyone. We're Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebs. We are diving into the numbers. Let's do it, Nico.
Number time! Brought to you by Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever in the history of the world. The biggest Bitcoin conference. Celebrations will be awesome, hosted in sunny Miami Beach, Florida. It's coming up. It's in less than a month, April 6th and 9th. Get your tickets quickly. Speaker list includes President Nayib Bukele, Michael Saylor, Saifedean Atabak, Jack Mallers, Senator Cynthia Lummis, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and many more. Phil and I are going to be on a panel as well. It's going to be absolutely awesome. You can take advantage of the link down below to get 10% off your tickets to Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 729,459. The Bitcoin price, 47,655. Chain rewrite days, 734. Total public lightning capacity, Nico, that is a new all-time high, 3,586.37. Moscow time, 2098. Blocks of the halvening, 110,541. And the Samurai Whirlpool unspent capacity. Samurai Whirlpool is a CoinJoiner collaborative spend service. It is not a mixer. The unspent capacity in that pool is 4,451.24. The numbers.
Looking good. We got to keep saying that Samurai Whirlpool, because the government doesn't like that very much. Anyways, we got a very, very awesome question. It was from Instagram. I'm gonna pop it up so you guys could read along. It was from Chelsea Peterson, and she says her second question. She says, do you ever get concerned about the 51% attack? Presumably, as cash dissolves, government will launch an attack on Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on this? Anyways, I could protect myself. Cold wallet is a must, but anything else, really value your opinions. Well, thank you, Chelsea. I really appreciate that. And shout out to Megan and Isa, who handle our Instagram and TikTok, for bringing it to us. So a lot to unpack there. Okay. So, first of all, let's define what a 51% attack is. So, 51% attack is essentially if more than 50% of the network's mining hash rate or computer power is taken over by a malicious attacker. Now, here's the thing, right? And I want to talk about the incentives of Bitcoin, right? So, when you look at Bitcoin, right, you have the nodes, you have the miners, you have the users, and they're all operating in sync. And they're not doing that out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing that pursuing their own incentives. So this is something that I want you guys to understand. Miners don't play by the rules because they feel like doing so. They play by the rules because it's more profitable to do so. So let's say, hypothetically, there was an attacker that had enough of the hash rate, right, to 51% attack Bitcoin. That is a lot of mining power, meaning it is more profitable for those miners to mine Bitcoin than it would be to attack Bitcoin. Okay, so that's the first thing. So second thing, let's break down the mining pool, shall we, right? Because I think a lot of people misunderstand this, right? So you have a lot of the mining pools that are broken down, and a lot of people think, right, when you look at this at first, you think, oh, wow, there's really not that many miners. No. Well, you choose a mining pool because you want steady income, right? Because at the end of the day, mining is like guessing, right? And if you have one miner, the probability that you're going to guess correctly is actually very low. So what do? You pool your resource together with other miners, so the probability is more stable, right? And the bigger the pool, the more stability that you get in your profitability. So when you look at this, it doesn't mean that Binance Pool or Ant Pool or F2 Pool or Poolin or Luxor have that much hash rate. What it just means is that individual miners are choosing to mine with them so they have steady income. Now, another thing. Just because let's say a malicious actor, the government, the state, right, 51% attack Bitcoin, that only means, right, that they can censor transactions until, another block is found by the the hash rate that is following along or playing fair, I guess. And on top of that, it only means they could double spend the coins, right? They could only double spend the coins of which they already possess, right? That doesn't mean if Bitcoin gets 51% attacked, it doesn't mean, right, that they could just go and steal other people's coins, right? And another thing, they can only really do that double spend once or twice because there's a lot of people watching Bitcoin, right? So a lot of people are going to wake up. And then the last thing, right, is this goes back to the incentives of Bitcoin. I'm going to pull up the Clark Moody dashboard, right? Kind of steal a little bit of Phil's thunder, is the annual mining revenue, which is $16.1 billion, right? That's a hell of an incentive, right? So a government would have to actively want to set money on fire, right? And also, another thing is how is the government going to take over that amount of hash rate without it being found out by other people, right? Because at the end of the day, they would have to actually seize those machines, run those machines themselves, make another chain, start playing unfair. A lot of people are going to notice before it happens. Now, here's the thing. Bitcoin could have been 51% attacked, I would say, in the beginning of Bitcoin's history, but in the beginning of Bitcoin's history, it really didn't make sense because of the price, right? Nowadays, Bitcoin's hash rate has reached such a size that, in my humble opinion, I think that theoretically it is possible, but it's economically unfeasible at this point. And the more NGU technology keeps doing its thing, and the more that mining revenue keeps increasing, the more incentivized the people that are mining Bitcoin are to protect Bitcoin. Because think about it. If a miner, let's say a malicious miner, wanted to attack Bitcoin, right? They would be hurting themselves. Because all of that Bitcoin, all of that money that they invested in Bitcoin mining infrastructure, they would literally be setting on fire. So it's not that a government could 51% attack Bitcoin and then automatically steal your coins. No, it would be a reputational attack. And it would happen 1 or 2 times before the network would wake up. And on top of that, you want to backtrap, a lot of people would notice, right, that this was happening beforehand. One of the things that that worried me about China was that, China, before the mining ban, had such a big percentage of the hash rate. Theoretically, you could, right, have a totalitarian country that wanted to just stomp out Bitcoin, and they just started seizing miners, and they could just started, taking people's machines, and then they would, work to 51% attack Bitcoin. You could have said that. But in a country like the United States, a country like Canada, more Western countries, now that the hash rate isn't centered in China, could I see them doing that? No. Could I see the government mining Bitcoin to hurt Bitcoin's reputation? I don't know. I think that Bitcoin's hash rate has reached such a size that I just don't see it feasible. I think it was possible many years ago. Governments had their opportunity, but they chose to ignore Bitcoin instead and want it to go away. And at that time, not that many people were using Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin wasn't that high, right? So the longer they wait, the harder it's going to be to do that attack. Is it theoretically possible? Everything's theoretically possible, but is it feasible? Is it economically feasible? I just don't think so. The incentives of Bitcoin are too great. The incentives of playing by the rules in Bitcoin are just way too profitable, right? It's expensive to cheat in Bitcoin. So I hope that answers your question. There's a lot to unpack, but I don't know, Phil, how did I do?
I was going to say, man, I think you killed it.
Thanks,
like that.
bro.
You covered every single point there. 100%. At the end, as you were getting towards the end, I'm like, I could mention the fact that the China ban was, that stole 50% of the hash rate, right? That just made 50% of the hash rate disappear. So we did have an example of a nation state actor taking a major shot at Bitcoin, a swing and a miss. But the one piece that I do want to mention, right, is, the price. Okay, because that really, at the end of the day, a lot of people, look, let's be honest, right? People want to know, what happens to the Bitcoin price? And, we don't like to speculate. But the one thing that we can say, because we did see it happen, is that, yes, the price temporarily does take a tumble because of it. Okay, so that's not something to not be expected, right? As long as the world is valuing in fiat currencies, and people are not valuing in BTC, they're going to be comparing it to the fiat value. And during, God forbid we end up in one of those types of situations, we would end up seeing a temporary, like a temporary price dump before it comes back. But at the end of the day, we're all just stackers, and we're all here for the bigger picture, and we all want Bitcoin, to actually be the world reserve currency. So I don't, look, it's just a bump in the road. But
Yes.
again, that's what it would be,
If it happened, it would be a bump in the road, and it wouldn't be a profitable one. Remember, because all those miners,
exactly.
they're mining out of the pursuit of profit, right? The government would do this one or two times just to do a reputational attack, and it's a very, very expensive reputational attack, right? So how long could they keep that up, right? So again, and how how up in arms would people be? Like it's like, again, it was a lot easier to do when in the beginning, not that many people do this, but Satoshi mined Bitcoin by himself for I think it was a couple months or a couple weeks, right, of the beginning of Bitcoin's birth, right? It was him by himself. So he could have done it. But again, this goes back to the value of Bitcoin. Back then, Bitcoin was worth nothing. So what would be the economic benefit of doing that attack, right? So as Bitcoin continues to go up in price, the incentives grow stronger to mine by the rules, because mining by the rules makes you more money. Right? Does that make sense? Right? So you're
more incentivized to be a good actor.
Yes, you're more incentivized to be a good actor than to try to cheat Bitcoin, because cheating Bitcoin is actually very expensive. Unlike the fiat system, right? This is what makes Bitcoin unique, right? This is what makes Bitcoin special. So, Chelsea, I hope we answered your question. Phil, I don't know. I there's so much to unpack, right? But
I think you did amazing. No, I honestly think you did amazing. You touched on all the different points. That was fantastic.
There was so much to unpack. But anyways, awesome question. You guys have more questions? You can drop it in the comments, or you can message us on Instagram and TikTok and Isa and all right. So before we move on, Phil had a beautiful point that he said before we started recording. So Phil, why don't you say, I'm going to remind you, you said, how how much a government would have to devalue, so I'll let you finish it.
Okay. Anyways, so look, there's no incentive for the government to actually attack Bitcoin, because they would have to devalue the money so much in order to gain 51% of the network. And then not only that, but they would have to continue to run and compete against the rest of the network. Okay, in order to do this, do you know how expensive this would be?
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
And if the government managed to get that amount of computational power, it would be so much more profitable just to mine the fucking coin.
That's right.
Right?
Sell it on the open market.
That's the beauty of it. Right?
It's not worth it for them to scam.
No, that's why it works, right? It's not worth it to scam. It's worth it just to play by the rules. That's the beauty of it. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily Fail. Brought to you by Amber App. Check them out, amber.app. We've all got a stack. Why not stack with an app that is made by actual Bitcoiners? Low fees, fair spreads, smart automation. The link is down below.
Amber, the smart way to stack sats.
All right, we were tagged by ICOsinaut in this. We're just going to take a look at this really quick, get a good laugh before we dive into an absolute catastrophe of a fail. Anyways, here we go. So it's a tweet by @CharlieBelello. Powell. If we knew that buying $5 trillion in bonds, cutting rates to zero, cheerleading a $6 trillion increase in national debt, and increasing the money supply by 40% would lead to higher inflation, sure, we would have hiked rates earlier. But who could have predicted such a thing? Nico?
Bitcoiners, baby, dude.
Who could have predicted that?
I'm kind of split, and I want you guys to let us know, okay? Because, look, so if you guys have been with us for a while, you guys have seen our journey, right? We went from we're crazy conspiracists, look, the media was saying there is no inflation coming, and two bozos on YouTube were like, they're printing a lot of money. It's obvious inflation was coming. it can't be that they don't know. So there's two things. They're sniffing the modern monetary theory so hard, or they're being disingenuous. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I have no idea. But these people are total freaking clowns. That system sucks. Opt the fuck out. Buy yourself some Bitcoin, and you don't have to deal with that stuff. Like it's like you see a burning ship and it's slowly sinking, and the Titanic song is playing in the background. Like, and Bitcoiners are on the life roads, except they're orange, not white, right? And they're just like, yeah, but it's dude, it's like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Phil? Do you think they're being disingenuous, or do you think they're just sniffing their own farts that hard?
You know what? I honestly think that they think that they're doing the best of a job they can with the system that they have. And of course, the best of the job that they can that aligns obviously with their incentives, right? So that's the thing. So are they really disingenuous? Look, if they actually know that the monetary system's broken, then yes, it's disingenuous. But if they don't, then they're just ignorant. They're ignorant, and they're causing a lot of people pain and suffering. Like, that's really what's happening, right? Like, they're screwing all of us, and they're screwing themselves. They just don't know it yet. Yeah. That's the really sad part, right? It's they're incentivized on the moment, but at the end of the day, they're just screwing themselves. Okay.
What's the next move on? What's the big daddy? What's the big daddy, Phil?
Here we go. Okay, so look, I gotta give credit. Credit is due, right? We were tagged by at Asia Ragnar, Ghost of Ragnar, Danaskold.infinity.
Oh, I follow him.
Yeah, man. So check this out.
We're going to do all state and government money today. It's going to be a government money episode. All right.
This is going to be brutal. So the Grubel's tweet, great account. Anyways, get out of here. Ethereum insiders aren't spooks. That's ridiculous. So, how to prepare for CBDCs. Guys, they actually put this thing behind a registration, so you actually had to register for this crap. Okay, I'm just letting you know that yes, I did in fact register, and I did in fact read this entire terrifying piece of trash.
So okay, so first of all, who is Consensys? Like,
okay, so let's back up, right? Okay, so Consensys was founded by Joe Lubin. Okay, Joe Lubin is the co-founder of Ethereum with Vitalik.
Oh, Ethereum is somehow connected to evil shit again.
Oh man, just wait, Nico. You're about to get. Dude, this was awful. Like, I actually had to stop 3 times while I was reading this. Let's dive into this paper. Okay, so this is Consensys offering their white paper, right? The central banks and the future of digital money. Okay, so. Okay, guys, let's dive into this paper. This is, and Nico had it right, this is literally how it starts, okay? As the World Economic Forum meets in Davos for the 50th time, it does so against the backdrop of a sea of change in the mechanics of money. Keep in mind, right, we are being sold a story, and I want you to really pay attention to the details of this story, okay? Because they're painting a picture, Nico. Over 70% of the central banks are looking at issuing a digital currency on a blockchain. I think that's kind of ironic because aren't all the central banks answering to one main central bank? I mean, let's be honest. Like, anyways, it doesn't.
I think Jack Mahler's put the fear of God into them, and they're just like, how do we state? Augustus Carson, the big banker. He's like, how do we state? No, he has a Mexican accent. He's like, we need to state that. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I apologize.
So, no, you don't have to. But guys, while you read this, no one's going to be able to help but have the filter of Bitcoin in the back of their minds, okay, as I go through this trash, okay? So I do apologize for the poison. Here we go. CBDCs could also simplify and reduce the cost of cross-border remittances while forming the basis for more efficient, more secure interbank payment networks. They see the importance of embracing a significant role in bringing about this change. That's right, guys. So we're not really using Bitcoin right now. It's not really working. El Salvador didn't really just make it legal tender. None of that stuff just happened. There's no LN strike. all of these cheap, none of this exists. They are going to bring in CBDCs, Nico. They are going to fix this remittance problem, my friend.
It's crazy at what lengths people will go to in order to remain in power. It blows my mind.
Oh, just wait. It gets so much worse. Okay. Keep in mind, right? Bitcoin Whitepaper, 9 pages. This is just the freaking white paper about CBDCs, because remember, I've said this 1,000 times. They're selling you the sizzle. Okay? They don't sell you the steak. They're selling you the sizzle. So you got to get excited about this, Nico.
They don't eat steak, bro. They eat bugs.
Sorry. They sell you the sizzle of the bugs, okay? But you got to get excited about this. I want you to be excited right now. Here we go, okay? The issuance of central bank money at the wholesale and retail level offers a number of potential advantages for central banks. By providing a viable large-scale payments system for tokenized assets markets, offering a risk-free, widely accessible alternative to privately issued stable coins. And look at this, like Facebook's Libra, which never fucking existed. Never existed. Okay? They're not going to mention Bitcoin here. They're not going to mention it here. Not yet. Which serve a similar purpose, but could expose users to credit and or liquidity risk. That's right. Facebook's Libra was going to expose users to credit risk. CBDCs, the governments here to the rescue. All right. Widespread use of CBDC instead of private payment tokens could also help central banks retain sovereignty over monetary policy in tokenized assets markets, an important consideration, or the only consideration. You heard that right. They have to maintain their sovereignty over the monetary policy. The central banks. Anyways. Other benefits include potential new regulatory monitoring and enforcement tools, cheaper cross-border remittances. There it is again, right? That's how they get you in with the it's going to be cheap for you to send money. Just let us make you slaves. Improvements to the interbank payments infrastructure and innovation in retail markets. CBDC could also be a superior replacement to physical cash. What? Helping alleviate some of the risks and costs associated with banknotes. Depending on how it is designed, a CBDC could support financial inclusion by providing wide-scale asset to risk-free reserves. What the fuck? I don't even know what to say to that. Like, honestly, this is just nonsense.
Dude, it is disgusting to me to what lengths these people will go to remain in power. All of this is essentially saying they're ignoring that Bitcoin exists, and the reason they're ignoring like Bitcoin exists because Bitcoin sees everyone as equal. You don't get a leg up. You don't get the ability to central plan, control people's lives, control the monetary policy, and in their heads they cannot have that. This is disgusting. They have to spin all of this up because they will not give up the power. It is despicable, disgusting. I can't, there's so many words.
Just wait, this gets so much juicier. No, it's okay. It's great. The commentary is fantastic because you'll see, you'll just keep getting sicker. Okay, here we go. We propose that central banks issue CBDC on a large scale, private, permissioned, Ethereum-based network, in which central bank appointed intermediaries act as nodes and service providers.
So wait, we were right. We called it on this show. We said shitcoins were going to alliance with governments in order to survive and beat Bitcoin. That is literally what they are doing. This is disgusting, bro. Mm-hmm. This is Ethereum. Oh man.
Nico, as the issuer of the digital currency, central banks would have direct control of the money supply. No shit. While users of the currency would not be exposed to the risks of private currencies. That's what I'm always so afraid of.
They're using that term again, private currencies.
Bitcoin so you get what's happening here, right?
Yes, of course. They're making a deal with the devil. They're making a deal with the devil so that Ethereum survives, with the help of the state, dude. It is disgusting, man. This is disgusting. This is Vitalik for you. Like, oh man. Anyways.
We believe that Ethereum is one of the best technologies available today to meet the technical requirements for such a CBDC. But there are other possible solutions as well. They don't mention, by the way, any of those solutions. They don't. As tokenized asset markets are created, there's going to be a need for tokenized payments for the immediate settlement of transactions. CBDC could be the key ingredient in introducing a viable, broad-based, blockchain-based payment system that could enable large-scale, decentralized clearinghouse and asset register, and in turn allow digital assets to reach their potential. In other words, Nico, we know about Bitcoin, but we can make a shitcoin. No joke, like that literally, like they're completely ignoring Bitcoin. If central banks do not issue their own digital currency, the markets will move to private payment tokens. This is the signal, guys. This is another part of the signal, okay? But as Nico has pointed out, private payment tokens, that's bullshit. That's nonsense. Bitcoin's a public ledger. That's complete garbage that they're making up.
And it could be issued by anyone. It could be issued by anyone. Anyone could mine Bitcoin. The fact they are the private token because they issue money privately. So don't allow them, because what they're doing is something called framing. They're framing the narrative. Don't allow them to do that. What they're gaslighting you and they're bullshitting you in order to remain in power themselves.
Absolutely. If central banks do not have their own digital currency as a basis for payments in these markets, then they risk losing some of their ability to carry out their monetary policy and regulatory mandates. That's right. They can't keep you a tax slave. They actually have to provide value in order to get your money. Right now, they could just take it. And under this system, they'll be able to take it even faster. CBDC would mitigate this risk by giving central banks direct influence over all or a portion of the money supply in digital markets. CBDC could also give central banks new tools for expanding and reducing the supply of money. Right? So you hear what I'm saying? The control. Lots of control. It could be useful in more efficient sanctions and AML enforcement contexts.
Also known as censorship.
Bingo. And now here we go, right? The cheaper cross-border remittances. We're always fans of that, right? This is how they get to you. They lie to you about Bitcoin's already doing this. You can already transfer money across the world for almost nothing. So why? Why do you need to be surveilled by them to do this? Anyways, if we imagine a world where both the origin currency and the destination currency are based on CBDC, it is quite easy to imagine money transfer systems that are almost entirely automated. Why do we have to imagine this? There's already Bitcoin, but they ignore it. Many financial actors can then connect to these ledgers and compete to offer the best price and service to customers, driving costs down and reducing delays. That sounds like added bottlenecks and a whole bunch of red tape and administration, but I digress. Next, they're going to improve the settlement of interbank payments, right? We've got that going on because there's no way that banks can't just use Bitcoin to transfer funds between each other. Instead, what they do is they go on about SWIFT and the SWIFT system and how slow it is right now and how they could improve it. It honestly, Nico, this thing is so disgusting. It's unbelievable. Okay, here we go. What kind of a CBDC? Central banks will need to make a fundamental decision about who will have access to the CBDC. Exclusionary system? Here I come. Who's going to have access to it, huh? Distribution. Using CBDC as an opportunity to increase the number of intermediaries with access to central bank money, to distributing CBDC directly to the public. Nico, what were we talking about yesterday? Remember what happens to all those people working at the banks? They gone. We'll just give it right to you and we'll take it right from you too. Lack of structured governance could hamper decision making both on the technical and design level, making it hard for the platform to evolve. Right? So, of course, it needs governance. We can never forget about the sound governance, right? We see it right up here. They love it. They love to have the voting rights. It's fantastic. For example, around liability if things go wrong, there would therefore be a need for a controlled and regulated infrastructure with clear governance structures in terms of design, development, maintenance, funding, upgrades, and the like. All right, so there you go. You got the social governance. Now we dive into the privacy, right? What kind of privacy are they gonna come up with for this? It will technically be possible to design CBDCs with various mixes of anonymity versus traceability of transactions. Central banks will have to decide on the appropriate balance between privacy and transparency. One promising option is to provide high privacy for small transactions by retail users, similar to cash today, while programming in high traceability for larger transactions, whether by individuals or corporations. This would allow for the implementation of KYC AML procedures on those transactions. It's very disingenuous. You can do high numbered transactions as well in cash. All they've done is criminalize that type of behavior, and they've demonized that type of behavior, but there's actually nothing wrong with it. Okay? This is just nonsense. Psychotic crap. All right, boom. Let's bring in the lawyers. Legally sound. Broad-based CBDC platform will need to be legally sound as well. That means ensuring that the CBDC enjoys protections under existing legislation, including payments law, contract law, settlement finality provisions, insolvency law, and conflicts of law regimes in their local jurisdictions. It's amazing that Bitcoin just does this. It's amazing that it just does transaction finality all on its own. Doesn't need any lawyers. Anyways. CBDC may well require adjustments to regulations to take into account its new properties. There are other new legal questions as well. For example, as opposed to physical cash, it would be possible to restrict the usage of CBDC to only allow its use by citizens or residents of a certain country. So, again, we talk about the censorship. That's twice they mention. At least they mention it, Nico. At least they're talking about it.
Bro, it makes them hard, dude. I don't know what else to say.
They like letting you know that they can stop you anytime you want. You can't feed your family. Go pound sand, bud. Onboarding and distribution of the CBDC intermediaries they choose and would therefore maintain oversight and control, allowing them to act as wardens of the ecosystem without having to provide or manage the services themselves or provide any value whatsoever. That's right. It's good stuff. Using a permission blockchain, central banks would retain control. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. It's a very good point. You can't take that away from them. It would allow for standardized identifiers and identity mechanisms, as well as mutualized control mechanisms, for example, for KYC, AML, which could simplify and reduce the cost of compliance for all stakeholders, while likely improving their effectiveness. So check this out. We already know we're wasting billions of dollars, Nico. This could cost us less.
I'm very upset, dude. I'm like, this is. Anyways, continue.
Look, the system would be easy, and it would be easy and secure for end users, okay? Because we stop them from transacting when we don't want them to transact. All right, so look, here we go. The technical requirements for the proposed architecture. I'm not going to dive into all of them. The first one on the list is all that matters. Full control of the money supply by central banks. It's all centralized crap. It's all the same thing. It's the exact same thing you have right now, and they're going to make it worth less and less and less and continue to take away your value. This is not new. Privacy of consumer data and the transactions. In our view, I like this part. Central banks should not have a comprehensive view on individual wallets and associated IDs. That's right. So they just want to collect your information, Nico, but they shouldn't have a comprehensive view of that information. Okay? When KYC AML requirements would kick in. So don't worry. Okay, don't worry. Just because KYC AML kicks in, just because they're able to tie all your transactions to your IDs, don't you worry. They're not going to use it against you, okay? They're good people. Compliance with KYC AML and regulated regulations, asset recovery, right? The system should allow for the reversing of transactions under legally acceptable conditions, right? Because you can't be trusted for personal responsibility. We've offset our personal responsibility for so many years. We're completely incompetent at this point. And of course, little ESG sprinkled in there. Acceptable environmental impact, Nico. It's got to be acceptable. Acceptable energy levels, acceptable energy usage levels, so as not to have a negative impact on the environment, Nico. Why did they choose Ethereum? It's decentralized. Even though we know how many, the percentage of nodes that run on Amazon Web Services. Today, public Ethereum is the second largest blockchain platform by market capitalization. It's interesting that they don't choose to build on the largest blockchain platform, the only real.
No, they can't control that one. Of course they can't. Of course they're not going to build on that.
Indeed. Ethereum is by nature well suited to the creation of tokens. Central banks could easily design and implement tokens that could be widely circulated, yet those issuance and destruction remain firmly under their control. Ethereum offers robust permissioning capabilities that would allow central banks to easily authorize and deauthorize network participants, allowing them to maintain control over who is on the network and what activities they are authorized to carry out. This is nuts. This is completely insane. Okay, anyways, let's finish it off with the grand scheme, right? The big picture. End user on the left, end user on the right. Let's just call them slave 1 and slave 2. And in the middle is the central bank. There you go. So, what are they really proposing? They're proposing absolutely nothing. They're proposing to take your slavery online. That's it. And they're proposing to put some new controls into it. But also, Nico, we need to trust them. We need to trust them, Nico.
Look, it disgusts me, right, that we have an opportunity as a species to free mankind from the tyranny of central bank. There's a elite group of people that think they know what's best for everybody else. They dictate the money supply, based on their own whims, right? They impoverish the lower class and middle class that don't have the means to put their wealth in equities and real estate. And the Ethereum, or maybe not all of them, but the co-founder of Ethereum is willing to do a deal with the devil if it means enriching themselves. It is utterly disgusting. The world does not need that system anymore. It operates just fine on an open network. One that you don't have to ask permission from anybody. Rules without rulers. It is clear that human beings cannot handle that much power. No one deserves that much power, and Bitcoin has figured out how to build a network without anybody empowered. Everyone's equal. And what he's doing, he's spitting on that, and he's saying, let's go back to the centrally controlled money that has fucked and impoverished millions of people for the benefit of the few. Why don't we continue using that system so that I can get my Lambo? It is utterly disgusting. And in a beautiful metaphor, if you guys still don't believe me, in the beginning, the first sentence, it speaks about, I'm here in front of the World Economic Forum, and boy, do I have an idea for you. This is disgusting. This is why we're so aggressive when it comes to anybody censoring another person. Because this is how it will always end up. An elite group of people dictating who is entitled to use money and who is not entitled to use money. It is disgusting, and shame on whatever his name is. Dude, it made me feel uncomfortable the entire time that you were reading it, because
is that not awful?
It is a central planner's wet dream, seeing all of that, all those capabilities. That's what they're able to do today, right? And now we have Bitcoin that protects you from that. It allows you to take self-custody, control, power over your life, sovereignty. And it drives them absolutely insane. The fact that the World Economic Forum supports Ethereum and hates Bitcoin tells you everything you need to know. They are on the wrong side of history. And like I've always been saying, you're going to have to pick and choose eventually. It's a little bit obfuscated right now. Between a future of slavery, central bank digital currencies, and freedom, Bitcoin. You're going to have to pick one day. The day will come. This is what's waiting for you on the other side. That is what you're doing. If you pick the state's money, that is what you're signing up for. It's disgusting. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by actual Bitcoiners. This is the artwork for Volume 10. It just came out. It's beautiful. Volume 11 actually dropped too. I just ordered it in the mail, and they're scarce. There's only 1,000 physical copies made per volume. So be quick. Get your print of Citadel 21 today before it runs out. We have a meme by the famous Bitcoinator. When Bitcoin pumps, still hodl, no coiner, no coiner, no coiner, no coiner, contillionaire, liquidated, no coiner, short rack, shitcoin, FUD, paid FUD, I bought the dip.
Many faces of Bitcoin.
Dude, absolutely hilarious. Very, 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 very good. Moving on to next one. Caro merger stats. The fiat system broke in 71. The majority just hasn't figured out yet. Bitcoin is your lifeboat. Go and get your seat. That's pretty dope,
Yeah, it's a good Bitcoin lifeboat.
The color of the Bitcoin logo is not a coincidence. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
True.
Anyways, by Rally, built different before bear market, after bear market. Man, you guys bring fire memes. So shout out to you. Is by Toxicat. There's no second best. Wait, it's always been a pre-mined central bank shitcoin? Always has been. Shout out to you, brother. Next one.
That's true.
Now might be a good time for you to buy. Plebs, that's my secret, my cap. I'm always buying. Love it, man. All right, moving on. Oh, sorry, I reviewed this one. All right, last but not least, it is for anyone that doesn't get this. This is Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. We don't know if it was staged or not, but yeah, apparently it made a lot of people watch the Oscars. It recovered the ratings from an already dying show. For some awesome memes, Phil, I forgot. I was so upset during that fail that I forgot to get a score. So why don't you score it while I look for a score?
Oh, wait. You know what? I am in the same situation as you. So, and on top of that, as I've said a million times before, I've got nothing. So I am going with this. I think I may have even given this before. I'm not even sure. This is my light up blue USB cable. That's right. It's annoying. It lights up.
Wow. That's a good score. Anyways, Phil, for those memes, I'm going to give this awesome score. I'm going to give it a hollow point that was in my Coca-Cola bottle. So, on there, right? Coca-Cola bottle full of some hollow points. But anyways, guys, we want to know if you agree with our score, you disagree, if you're confused by the rating system. It's a meme. That's the whole point. But anyways, we want to know if you agree. We already said that. You could comment down below. You could let us know. Rate the memes yourself. Of course, make sure to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms. If you saw the fail, you'd obviously know why. We do make fun of the World Economic Forum, like Rumble.com and our personal favorite, BitcoinTV.com. And of course, make sure to join our Telegram group. And you could link us some dank Bitcoin memes to review so we could review them on the meme review, because the Bitcoin meme review, we need dank Bitcoin memes to review. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin art sculpture opens up. You put your favorite hardware wallet in there. You can also get this in any custom color your heart desires. You want to make the white orange? You could do that, but only on CryptoCloaks.com. They also have other really cool 3D printed Bitcoin stuff. And you can take advantage of the link down below to get 10% off anything on the store, CryptoCloaks.com. So Phil covered, the Ethereum attempt to try to convince regulators and all of that, to use Ethereum to do a central bank digital currency. But governments are starting to realize as well that, holy shit, the central bank digital currency people aren't really buying it because there's a concern for privacy. So this is another attempt, right, to try to funnel a garbage product down people's throats that is inferior to Bitcoin because they don't want to give up control. Anyways, eCash. Bill proposes digital currency that replicates cash, bypasses the Fed. The Electronic Currency and Secure Hardware Act, introduced today in the United States House of Representatives, could herald a new direction in government-sponsored digital currencies. How about non-government currency? How about that? How about that? How about a currency that's actually issued by the people and not the government? Here's the thing. Government currency will always have inflation. That is how they pay for their shit. Bitcoin is a threat to that. That's why they're freaking out. Because the hidden tax of inflation is no longer available for them with something like Bitcoin if enough of the population decides to opt out. And they don't know what to do. Anyways, the legislation calls for the U.S. Secretary of Treasury to develop and pilot an electronic version of the U.S. dollar that is easy to use for the economically marginalized or technically challenged. It would also maximize consumer protection and data privacy. Okay. So the same people that passed the Bank Secrecy Act, the Patriot Act, 2008, all of that are also telling you we are concerned about maximizing consumer protection and data privacy. Why are they telling you that? Because people are not choosing to use government money. That is why they're telling you that. Interestingly, eCash, as it's called, would be issued by the U.S. Treasury Department and not the Federal Reserve Board, which means it would technically not be a central bank digital currency, nor would it be built on a blockchain or require the internet to operate. It is designed to replicate the privacy-respecting features of physical cash, such as coins. So why don't you just use cash? Why don't you just use cash? Anyways, here, and look, if you guys want to know how nefarious this is the website that they put up. Now, check this out. This all suspiciously, all of this media press releases got released on the same day by Decrypt, Crypto Briefing, The Blind Spot, Investor Place, Wired, Investor Place, New Money Review, CoinDesk, Money on the Left, The Blind Spot, The Block, Cointelegraph, The Register, New York Times, all on the same day. So it was a press release. They paid fucking the propaganda arm, which we've always said they were, to release this announcement all on the same day. Because you can't tell me that it's a coincidence that all these journalists wrote about this and released the article on the same day. It's just fucking clown world, bro. I don't know what to say, dude. It's clown world. Anyways, let's check out more about this fucking Frankenstein. What does eCash do? So I read a little bit about it. What is eCash? eCash defines eCash as a currency instrument that is legal tender, bearer instrument, inoperable, replicate the anonymity and privacy respecting features of physical cash, promote equity and justice, prioritize universal access and usability. Bitcoin already does all of that. Anyways, Phil?
No, please, Nico. Go back to the replicate the anonymity of privacy respecting features of physical cash and just continue to read that line to the greatest extent reasonably and practically possible. So it's just like physical cash, except it's not, and you're still monitored a little bit.
What is eCash? An eCash device is any piece of secured hardware issued and authorized by the government for the purpose of receiving, holding, and transferring eCash balances. In contrast to ledger-based systems, which prevent double spending by verifying unspent balances against a common record of all previous transactions, eCash devices verify funds locally via a dedicated or trusted computing environment located on the device itself. Here's the thing. They still haven't told you how they're going to do this. So Satoshi figured out how to not make a copy of something by having a distributed ledger, right? And proof of work. How do you not make a copy of something on a physical device if it's not connected to the internet? They don't tell you. Anyways, and look, they love the China model, baby. Introduced in China in 2021 as part of its digital yuan rollout. When you're copying the Chinese Communist Party, it's usually not a good thing. Anyways, does eCash involve blockchain or distributed? No. In contrast to most cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, eCash is a true bearer instrument. Consequently, eCash transactions do not involve the requirement settlement via a blockchain or distributed ledger. So it's a database? Dude, it's ridiculous. Now, this is the clown world part, Phil. What distinguishes eCash from other forms of digital? Right? Cryptocurrencies. Unit of account? Own. Issued? Private sector. Retail-oriented directed? Yes. Ledger or hardware-based? Ledger. Anonymous, offline, peer-to-peer? No. Stablecoins? US. Private sector? Retail? Yes. So here's the thing, guys. Private sector? Bullshit. Bullshit. Bitcoin is a public ledger. Anyone could mine Bitcoin. Anyone could download a Bitcoin wallet. Bitcoin doesn't care what your ID is, what religion you are from, what country you're from. This will care. So all of this is literally the exact opposite. This is the definition of gaslighting. This is it right here. And you know why they do this? Control. It's all about control. Why use eCash over other forms of digital money payment? eCash is well suited to individuals who lack access to traditional banking and payment services. Bitcoin. Value privacy and wish to avoid surveillance and data mining. Bitcoin. Are concerned about third-party censorship or discrimination. Bitcoin. Lack reliable internet or digital network connectivity. Bitcoin. It works there too. Are low income and cannot afford high transaction withdrawal and exchange fees. Bitcoin. Lightning Network.
E-cash!
They're creating something that has already been solved for power. But it's not just me saying this, right? Let's check out what Nick Carter has to say. I love it when members of Congress pretend to be entrepreneurs. In this case, they've reinvented cash. Literally, all these properties are satisfied by physical cash. So why reinvent cash, which works perfectly well? Well, it's because cash isn't directly controlled by the government and doesn't come with built-in transactional caps. It's not about technology or consumer protection. It's about control.
It always is.
The crowd that thinks, in denial of economic history, that only the government can create cash-like instruments is so rackled by the success of stablecoins, so posting this joint. And this is exactly why they're doing it. They're seeing the success of stablecoins. They're seeing the success of Bitcoin. And they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. So they're scrambling with the central bank digital currencies with this Frankenstein fucking nightmare called eCash. Mind you, they don't tell you how this is going to work. Nothing. It's just
nothing.
This is it. This is eCash. That website was still longer than the goddamn Bitcoin whitepaper. It was still fucking longer. And I'm going to tie this up with what you did, Phil, and coincidentally, we picked something similar today. Look at to what extent governments will go with Phil's presentation, with what I just covered. Look at the mental fuckery and the lengths to what governments will go to not give up power. And that's if that isn't an incentive to opt the fuck out, take self-custody, I don't know what is. If you take self-custody, it's game over. It's done. You're now within the Bitcoin ecosystem, the Bitcoin circular economy. You can transact with anybody worldwide instantaneously, very cheap, and that's it. Look at all the shit that they've spun up to try to convince you that they're still relevant. They are not. That is direct proof. And in terms of the wasabi thing, if we just told you all this shit, right? And look what side wasabi chooses to be on for money. Kind of fucked up. Bill?
Wow. I was not aware about eCash, Nico, and now I'm super excited to get a hardware peer-to-peer like cash, but not exactly like cash replacement that now censors me when I could just use cash. So definitely excited about that. Holy crap, dude. Between that Consensys paper and that eCash paper, they don't know what the hell is going on anymore, right? Like, they are totally scrambling. They completely realize that, holy shit, like, we're becoming completely irrelevant. And the only thing that they have right now is that there's enough people that are still asleep that this system continues to run. But every day, new people continue to wake up.
Dude, and that's it. They have coercion, they have violence, and they have that enough people are still in the matrix. They're not used to competition, and more importantly, they're not used to competition that they can't make go away. So them trying to compete is it's hilarious. Like, who the fuck came up with that shit? It's like they saw China, the Chinese company's like, yeah, eCash, woo! It's like, yo.
No, but it's like, we want to maintain the same properties of cash to the best of our abilities. So in other words, it's not cash.
But it's not cash. It's like, they're not doubling down on cash. No. It has to be eCash. Like, yo, come on now. Like, dude, guys, at this point, if you made it this far into the video, and you're still not convinced why you should buy Bitcoin and opt out, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm telling you guys, all of the shitcoins, they're a distraction from the revolution, the peaceful revolution, the separation of money and state. And we are watching them in the bargaining phase. Right now, they're in denial, right? They're in the bargaining phase. They don't want to accept it. And it's funny because the faster they accept it, the more they benefit. But they're drunk on power, and they do not want to give up control. You see it. You see it in the wording. They become more totalitarian, and they try to, like, sugarcoat you. It's like, fuck, that Bitcoin thing has privacy. We care about privacy, too. You could trust us. Like, it's It's a fucking clown world. It's gonna heat up. We dropped the news from Europe yesterday how they're trying to ban you from keeping numbers. Yes, that is correct. So yes, this is gonna continue to escalate. But their attempts make it all worthwhile because it is fucking hilarious to see it from this side. But anyways, Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. Brought to you by CipherSafe. Check them out, cyphersafe.io. Guys, we've all got to store our seed. Store your seed in the safest place possible. Store it in the Cypher Wheel or the all-new Cypher Grid. Both come with tamper-resistant wire, but the grid comes with a punch tool. All right, we've got Get Alby version 1.7.0 that was released. It's down below in the show notes. Guys, don't forget to check us out on our audio-only platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. And if you want to stream us some sats, fountain.fm.
All right, thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was the show. Before we go, I want to give a very special shout-out to our awesome hoodie clothing sponsor, rephard.com, represent LTD. Phil and I try to wear different hoodies every day. Guys, the quality of the hoodies is dank. It's really high quality. You know, this is top shelf stuff. They're also dropping the David is also a Bitcoiner. He's going to drop a Bitcoin only collection soon. We're going to show it off, of course, and you can take advantage of the link down below to get 10% off anything off representltd.com. Guys, that was the show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And, of course, if you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective and the catastrophic fails from the governments trying to cope with Bitcoin, definitely subscribe to Simply Bitcoin. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for a brand new episode.
CBDCs? eCash? What? Just opt out. It's time for Bitcoin.